just for the day from your body. Wouldn't wanna be swept away, far away from the one that I love. Oh, now it's hard for me to say I'm sorry. I just want you to know. Hold me now. I really want to tell you I'm sorry. I could never let you go. After all that we've been through, I will make it up to you. I promise to. And after all that's been said and done, you're just a part of me I can't let go. After all that we've been through, I will make it up to you. I promise to. You're gonna be the lucky one. When we get there, gonna jump in the air. No one to see us 'cause there's nobody there. After all, you know we really don't care. Hold on, I'm gonna take you there.
We are now back. Scary voices from the dark. Okay, that's just my natural voice, but whatever. Scary enough. I mean, really? For real? Like, I ain't playing, you know what I mean? Anyways, so, where were we? After doing this for a few months, years, and battering the German and Italian war machine from deep behind their own lines, Colonel Sterling ended up getting captured during a raid, and Patty Main took over as commander of the 1st SAS Regiment. One SAS folded in with a special boat service to form the Special Raiding Squadron. What the heck? And as a leader of the SRS, Main undertook a shitload of insanely dangerous missions to spearhead the Allied landings on Sicily and mainland Italy in 1943. On one raid, Maine and his team hit the beach, climbed up a sheer cliff face in the middle of the night, attacked an Italian coastal defense base, captured 700 soldiers, destroyed all of their artillery, and drank all their best wine. Another time he went a little less with the sneaky, Personally led the SAS and Royal Marines off an assault craft under heavy enemy machine gun fire, captured the town of Termoli, and held out for 3 days against an intense series of counterattacks by elite German infantry. Once Italy was under control, Maine continued his streak of being involved at the center of every fucking military operation in the Western Theater by parachuting into France to sabotage rail networks, coordinate missions with the French resistance, destroy German communications and transportation lines so that the Nazis wouldn't be able to bring reinforcements to the units on the Normandy coast, which was a pretty important mission. Maine's commander had initially told the gung-ho Lieutenant Colonel that he was way too high rank to be infiltrating deep behind enemy lines, but Maine managed to convince his boss to let him go by promising that he wouldn't get involved with any direct fire actions. A few months later, he single-handedly captured the town of Oldenburg armed with only a fucking jeep and a Bren gun. Paddy had been leading one SAS ahead to clear a path for the Canadian 4th Armored Division when he heard reports that lead vehicles in the convoy had been ambushed. Maine hauled ass to the front lines to find that the Germans had cut off a large element of his force and had them surrounded, outnumbered, and pinned down by a large force of Nazi knobgoblins. Maine immediately jumped out of the jeep, ran into the closest house, cleared it out with his Colt 45 pistol, grabbed a Bren machine gun off a dead dude, sprinted back to the jeep, jumped in, ordered a guy to man the Vikers in the back of the jeep, hauled ass right into the middle of the fucking ambush like the Master Chief tearing through a Covenant flood war zone on a goddamn warhog. Blowing through the Germans, Paddy F. Maine held the wheel with one hand and rested the Bren gun on the dash so he could shoot and drive at the same time in the most extreme baller way possible. When he reached the cutoff section of his unit, Maine had his gunner covering the fire while he personally loaded his wounded men into the jeep, and once everyone was on board, he burned rubber out of there and got his boys back to friendly lines. Oh, and then he regrouped his unit and purposefully led an attack that flanked the German defenders, wiped out their entire force, and captured the town. After a long and glorious career of kicking ass out of Nazis everywhere he could find them and somehow managing to survive through the most hellaciously ass-sucking environments and missions World War II could throw at him, he finally retired from the SAS in '45 and took up a much tamer career as a chicken farmer / Antarctic polar explorer. He remains the only person in the British military to receive the Distinguished Service Order 4 times. So that just goes to show you that the SAS is just as badass as we are, or then some. Never know. Depends on the person. Every group that we join allies with has people just as badass as us. Nobody is better than anybody. Often as American civilians, not American veterans, I hear things like, we don't need our allies. That is a crock of shit. Here's what happens when we don't have our allies. Let's say the United States guys go to war right now with North Korea, and China and Russia decide to invade our country. We will not win. Understand this. Don't care how many people tell me otherwise, that 300 million Americans can fight against 300 billion. Or 3 billion, sorry. Escalated a little bit. The point is, it's a strength in numbers, ladies and gentlemen. They can lob bombs all they want, and you really think 150 million Americans that may not be perfectly trained for those weapons they have can fight against the trained enemy. They cannot. 28 million veterans cannot hold out indefinitely against 3 billion oncoming people that are sent to kill no matter what, even with pickaxes. The only saving grace we have is God and our allies. So when we give a bird to our allies as civilians and say, we don't need them, and they hear it, that's rotten. That's trash. So as Americans, look in the mirror if you've never served and realize that we need every damned ally we've got because they're the ones that save our asses along with our people that serve. Yes, I'm pretty bold tonight, and I really don't give a damn because I love our people and I love our allies that serve. And if you don't like it, and you don't like our flag, then you can take it and go to another country that doesn't also. Because you stand for the flag, you kneel at the grave, damn it. I haven't said it yet, but I've said it now. One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all is what we have, and our allies believe in us because we believe in them. But it's funny how our veterans and those who served are the only ones that believe in them, and the arrogance comes from those who don't know, don't get it, never served through it. And I don't mean family members of those who've served either because they get it. It's the people who never have. So spend a little time with a veteran. when they walk past you tonight. Go ahead, get mad at me. Go ahead, make threats, do whatever you want to do. I'm right, because you'll spend 5 minutes with a veteran and the first time they ever cry in front of you or hug you or tell you how much they love you for what you've done, you'll know you did the right thing. It doesn't matter what anyone else thinks of me as long as they love me. I've had more veterans cry to me. I've had more die on me than you can ever count, and I fall every time they fall. Every time I lose one, I lose a piece of me. But I gain a piece of me by great people that come and join me, like Brandi, Cassidy, Esther, and many more. It doesn't matter what this nation is, as long as we're one nation under God. We can fight Antifa. We can fight communism. We can fight division of our country that is now prophesied by the same man who has prophesied the USSR would break up, and he was right. We will break up if we do not change. That's 100% sure. So I will leave you with this. This is our final countdown.